The dim glow of the streetlights barely illuminated the empty sidewalk as Eleanor pulled her coat tighter against the crisp autumn air. The city had fallen into its usual midnight hush, with only the occasional distant siren slicing through the silence. She had always loved these late-night walks, the solitude giving her a chance to think, to breathe. But tonight, there was something different, something unsettling. She had almost walked past it. A small rectangular slip of paper lay at the entrance of an old abandoned bookstore. It was a train ticket. Midnight departure. The name on it sent a chill down her spine. She had never bought a ticket. Her heart pounded as she picked it up, turning it over in her hands. The paper was crisp, the ink fresh. The train station listed on the ticket was one she had never heard of before. A deep sense of unease settled in her chest. Was this a prank? A coincidence? Or something else entirely? And why did it feel like an invitation she couldn't ignore? Curiosity warred with logic as Eleanor found herself heading toward the train station. Every step she took felt guided, as though an unseen force was pulling her forward. When she reached the main station, she scanned the large schedule board, her breath catching in her throat. There it was. But something was wrong. The station number didn't exist. None of the attendants seemed to know anything about a midnight train to Black Hollow. "This train doesn't run from here," a ticket officer told her, frowning. "Are you sure you have the right place?" Eleanor glanced at the ticket in her hand. The ink still looked fresh, the time unchanged. Midnight. Platform 13. Her stomach twisted. There was no Platform 13, at least not anymore. It had been sealed off years ago after a tragic accident. People whispered stories about it. Passengers who had vanished without a trace. Ghostly figures seen lingering in the abandoned tunnels. Eleanor turned, her pulse quickening as she made her way through the station. If Platform
Hey there.
13 no longer existed,
Subscribe to my
then
channel.
why did her ticket
And
say
also
otherwise?
press this bell
The
icon.
entrance to Platform 13 was hidden behind a rusted metal door, its hinges stiff from years of neglect. As she pushed it open, the scent of damp stone and forgotten memories filled her lungs. Dust swirled in the dim light, and ahead the platform stretched into eerie darkness. Then she heard it, a distant whistle, the low, mournful sound of a train approaching. Her heart pounded as the ground beneath her trembled. A rush of wind sent dust spiraling into the air as an old-fashioned locomotive rolled into view. The midnight train. The doors hissed open, revealing a dimly lit interior lined with plush velvet seats. The train looked untouched by time, as though it had been waiting for her. Eleanor swallowed hard. Logic screamed at her to turn back, to run. But something deep inside whispered for her to step forward. So she did. The moment Eleanor stepped inside, the air shifted. A strange, electrifying energy crackled through the space. The train was silent, yet not empty. Rows of passengers sat eerily still, dressed in clothing from different eras. Victorian gowns, wartime uniforms, faded 1950s dresses. Their eyes followed her, yet their faces held no expression. A conductor, tall and gaunt with piercing gray eyes, approached her. "Welcome aboard, Miss Gray," he said, tipping his hat. "We've been expecting you." Eleanor's mouth went dry. Where is this train going?" He smiled, though it never reached his eyes. "To the place where unfinished journeys find their end." Her pulse roared in her ears. "And what if I don't want to go?" The conductor's expression darkened. "The train chooses its passengers. Once aboard, there is no turning back." Eleanor clenched the ticket in her hand, the paper strangely warm against her palm. The words on it shimmered, shifting before her eyes. Her breath hitched. What truth? What was this train trying to show her? She glanced out the window, but instead of the cityscape, she saw something else. Memories. Her memories. Flashes of her childhood, her mother's laughter, the accident that had stolen her father away. Then, a memory she didn't recognize. A train, this train, and a girl who looked just like her, boarding it. Years ago. Eleanor's head spun. She turned to the window, her reflection staring back at her. But something was wrong. The version of her in the glass wasn't moving in sync. The reflection blinked, slowly, deliberately, though she hadn't. Then it smiled. Eleanor stumbled backward, heart hammering. "Who are you?" she whispered. The reflection tilted its head. I am you, the part of you that never left this train. Her blood ran cold. That was impossible. She was alive. She had a life outside of this train, but the longer she stared, the more the truth pressed in on her. She had been on this train before, and she had never gotten off. The conductor stepped forward. It's time, Miss Gray. She looked down at her hands. The ticket had changed once again. Tears burned in her eyes. She wasn't just a passenger. She was a soul stuck between two worlds, reliving the same journey over and over, refusing to let go. The train began to slow, a soft glow appearing at the end of the tunnel. She had a choice: stay aboard and continue the cycle, or step off and finally be free. With a deep breath, Eleanor took a step forward. The train doors opened, and she walked into the light. Eleanor gasped awake, her body jerking forward. She was no longer on the train.
Subscribe to my
Instead, she sat
channel
on a bench at an empty
and also
train
press
station,
this bell
the
icon.
morning sun casting golden light over the world. Her hands trembled as she looked around. No passengers, no conductor, no midnight train. Had it all been a dream? A soft breeze carried a whisper through the air. Goodbye, Eleanor. Her heart clenched. She didn't need to look down to know the ticket was gone. But something inside her felt lighter. She had made it off the train, and for the first time in years, she was free. Far beneath the city, in the forgotten tunnels where time stood still, the midnight train remained, waiting, watching. Some journeys never truly end. Some passengers are still waiting to board.